Conscious Collaboration brings together entrepreneurs, changemakers, and thought leaders. We aim to highlight the people that embody the idea of aligned mind, body, and business. Each week, we share, discuss, and learn from the various experiences and ideas of our guest experts. Through our discovery, we find a path to an aligned mind, body, and business.
What up, guys? This is Emily.
And I'm Lisa, and we are the Conscious Collaboration.
I get a yeehaw. Haven't done
Amen.
one. Amen.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah, gearing up for how you doing?
I got my cowboy voice on because I'm gearing up for Dallas.
Yeah, that's right. Emily is on the move, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Just a little move, just a little quick move.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool if you come across in your travels some people who listen? That would be really cool.
That would be super cool. Are you out there?
Awesome. Yeah.
Are you out there?
Yeah. Where's Waldo? Where's Emily? Where in the world?
Yes.
That's going to be so much fun. Lots of new activities, and I really feel like the seasonal shift.
Yeah.
I already can tell, like, it feels like the sunlight's different. I know for us in Florida, it's still pretty hot, but in the morning, it's just like a different sunlight energy. It feels very fall. It's hard for us to see the seasons in Florida, but
fall is kind of a relative term when you live here.
we have fall appear several times in the year, I think, in a different way.
There's a time in spring, I'm sure you've noticed this, but there's actually a time in spring that behaves more like fall, where the leaves turn and fall off the trees, if you ever notice that. But I'm not one of those people who's like, I miss fall. Like, I don't. I mean, fall is cool, don't get me wrong, but I personally am one of those who would literally rather deal with the stankness of
me too.
July through the end of September, and then enjoy the beach in the winter months.
Yeah, the beach is so pretty.
On social media, like, sorry guys, not sorry.
Did you see my video I shared the other day on my reels from the beach, the sunset? I know you walk on the beach all the time. Oh my gosh, just so pretty. So it just doesn't even look real sometimes how beautiful it is.
It's a different show every day, and I've been doing more just because it's worked for my schedule lately better, but I've been doing like sunrise walks, which we don't, we're on the West Coast, so we don't get that sunrise over the beach horizon per se, but it's still gorgeous. And in the heat of the summer, like that kind of early morning time is really the most pleasant. But it's a different show every time, with the size of the waves, the calmness of the water, and whatever the sky coloring is, and whatever the birds are doing. And it's really just been this like free gift, Yeah,
arguably, I would say I really think that the idea of 4 seasons needs to go away, because I think there's so many more than 4 seasons anywhere. It's like, I know it helps us to calendarize things, but there just feels to be more cycles of death and rebirth and fruiting, and there's micro seasons, right? Like if we could all get together and figure out and identify those micro seasons, but there's just some really, I think the older we get, right? The older we get, we start to notice these little nuances and these shifts. And I think really this month in September is that for me. September, there's lots of like, all the songs about September are like depressing, and September.
Maria, can you remember? That one's not so depressing.
That one's not, yeah. I don't know. What is that song about? About September never ending?
Was it in September? I'm trying to, I don't know. I think he's like reminiscing about.
Mm-hmm. But he's
I'd have
not
to
quite
go back and
sure.
listen to the.
Is he saying?
You're right. He doesn't remember. Was it?
Was it in September? I mean, September is such like a nebulous, doesn't get enough credit kind of month, and it's got our Virgos in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that might have a lot to do with a lot of the Virgo energy of like creating that perfection and that presence of perfection maybe comes from.
Well, and
that.
moment of gratitude here too, just to hopefully carry this forward. Because September also, if you live in Florida or any of the hurricane prone areas, can be the most hurricaney month out there. And or end of August and pretty much the entire month of September into the beginning of October. And I don't know if you saw that the one system that Dennis was Dennis Phillips, shout out to the only meteorologist worth paying attention to in our area. But at any rate, it kind of just disappeared.
Yeah. Well, the Atlantic is really unseasonably cool. I mean, it's cool here. It's 80 degrees today, which is just amazing.
I mean, it was pretty stank the other day when we were out. Olivia and I went out to take a walk on Sunday, and the one little break we got in the weather, and it was like 0 breeze. So the the typical Florida weather is still there, but it is. It is.
That's keeping the hurricane systems at bay. So, and we really appreciate that and feel the gratitude. Like, I think we're all really grateful and celebrating the quietness of that.
I just watched the Netflix Katrina documentary too.
Oh, I can't believe you watched that.
Well, I'm compelled, being from there and everything, and I already knew about a lot of the stuff that made it just as much of a man-made disaster in New Orleans specifically as it was a natural disaster. But I think I am of the opinion that everybody should watch that. I think because a lot of people really aren't aware of the why in large part it became such a human tragedy and a glaring example of some of the dynamics that still very much exist in this country today. And I won't go too much on that tangent, but it's an uncomfortable watch, yes, but the truth is uncomfortable. And I think it's one of those things. Like, I mean, I hate to compare it to these other horrible major tragedies, but it's one of those things where, like, in order for history not to repeat itself on the level that we can control as humans, I think it's important that everybody in our country really understand what happened there, because it was not all. It was a horrible hurricane, don't get me wrong. And there were lots of places outside of New Orleans that were badly affected. Uh, all the way through Mississippi and Alabama, but what happened in New Orleans was a very unique, and really the worst of it happened after the storm.
Yeah, a lot of it was preventable, which is frustrating.
There was a lot of neglect and a lot of things that frankly just wouldn't have happened. Would it have affected?
It's like the anniversary week of it.
It was August 29th was the 20-year anniversary. So, so I think this was another Spike Lee documentary. I think he did the one, much closer.
I saw the other one.
When the levees broke. This one's called Come Hell and High Water. And I believe this was a Spike Lee documentary as well. So, because a lot of the stuff that you'll see out there will kind of romanticize it. My mom pointed this out, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. But this, Spike Lee don't play that. This is, and there's a lot of real people and, giving their experiences, and it is uncomfortable. But again, I think it's necessary and, dare I say, even patriotic to go ahead and
that's been like really the energy of the month too. And I don't know if that is like a September thing. September can be very subtle, and it's not, we've got Labor Day and that type of thing that shifts, indicates a season and the start of the school year. But it also just feels like, maybe it's I don't know. There's those, that's our hurricane. It's usually like a big hurricane month indicator for us, but maybe it is. And just based on the energy that we've been picking up on too, like there is that like heaviness or stickiness as part of it too. And the burning down or the restructuring of things. I really very much, and in all my half a century years, it feels like maybe that is just part of the seasons, the seasonality of things. Oh yeah. So in the energy of rebuilding and relaunching and alchemizing and transmuting things into something new, you would hope in something like that things would make significant change. I mean, I know it rallied the community together in a special way, and the nation.
Eventually, once they, figured out that there were thousands of people at both the Superdome and the convention center who were out there in the heat dying for days before anybody tended to them in a meaningful way. But yeah, I mean, after seeing that, I mean, it's such an inspirational story too. And of course, I'm very biased, being from Louisiana and just really understanding the spirit of those people on a deep level. But I after seeing it, because I did go back to New Orleans for both the Mardi Gras and the Jazz Fest that happened after Katrina, and even seeing, although of course TV never does it justice, but just seeing what happened, you couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine how are they ever going to come back from this? And a lot of things didn't. A lot of things, and a lot of people, just because of the level of trauma experienced, couldn't, and financial things and what have you. There were a lot of factors that played into it, and a lot of things that didn't work out so well. But even just the fact that they could come back and exist and still retain again, and it's certainly not perfect, but still retain so much of the culture and the spirit and all of these things that New Orleans is so known for is amazing. It's
just the will. Yeah,
miraculous.
I think it is. And, it is such a unique area. I've never visited. I just know some from you and the documentaries that I see. I've never gone. I think it's interesting, just the culture that you hear about and the recognition of, there is that like recognition of death and celebrating and walking with people and rebirth. And it's very, honoring the ghosts and the spirits and ancestors, the long lineage. So it's just an interesting place for that to happen. I know that we had a glimpse of that ourselves through our hurricanes. And locally here, when we had those couple weeks of the really depressing rain that didn't stop, a lot of people's trauma was just reactivated, the PTSD. And, that really came to light here, like locally in Gulfport, we lost somebody that committed suicide in our town, and the like the light that came from that, like the tragedy and the sadness, but the thing that it came from that was a result of the PTSD and not being fully healed from the hurricane. And we did look at things and say, this is never coming back. And it's not fully back yet. But what it really brought to light is having deeper conversations and connections with people beyond just being surface level with your neighbors. And the grief counselors that talk to us were, when you see your neighbor, don't say, hi, how you doing? And then walk away and accept fine as an answer. It means being very observant and curious. So I noticed you were working on this. Can I help you? And, I don't know, to just be more inquisitive and less surface level around neighbors and community, especially since, I don't know, it feels also like since the pandemic too, even, and everyone was very much in isolation and hunkering down type of thing, the dial back of connection, and relying on people's social media as a way to check on people. So,
which is never gonna,
never, that's our best selves that we're putting out there. It's not always the place that we would share things that we need help with. So it requires a little bit more kind digging, I think. And so I think, as sad as it is, bringing a community together and thinking, like, how can we prevent this from never happening again? Like, let's not linger in it's my fault, I didn't go and check. How many, did we walked by and didn't think to ask, what can we do for you? Do you need a place to stay? Could you use a hand? And so rather than lingering in that like blame energy, like, let's just not let that happen again. And it's not falling on one person, but I'm sure, that happened a million times over around the victims of Katrina, a million times over.
Well, and I think that was really one of their saving graces and biggest strengths is the inherent and ancient sense of community that exists there, and tradition and just, and I mean, that word community and collaboration, that some of those people, that was all they had, there was really no material possession to speak of, and community was it.
Yeah, I love that. Like, returning to community. I love seeing, one of the things I love about AI are the creations that people are pulling together about. I don't know if you've seen it. I've sent some reels to you about like the nostalgia from the 90s and the 80s. But really a lot of that was just very, the nostalgia around that was very like community based. And I thought I feel like that's a resurgence or being reconstituted, as I've heard someone talk about recently, that community aspect. Yeah, so it's that connection, that's that you don't have to do things alone type of energy.
Yeah.
So, well, that being said, let's do a quick I Ching pool and see perhaps if that sheds any light on, as we're approaching the end of September, the seasonality, the aspects that we can harness. Perhaps it's community and collaboration based, but what can we do in the coming weeks to maximize that energy? Yeah. Was it in September? We don't know, because
look up the lyrics to that.
We might have made that up. So, yeah. Okay.
Definitely not.
So the energy of gathering together.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gathering together. Hexagram 45,
community.
which
speaking of community.
Yeah, hexagram 45
is 9. Look at that.
Recto. So that's the energy. And then what can we do in the coming weeks? Great abundance. Boop. Super good. As you're looking up the lyrics there. So there is some changes in the fifth line. So it's 45 shifting into 55. This is really positive. So we're talking about the energies of gathering together. Oh, I almost read the wrong one. So this reading may be pointing to an auspicious time for large group events and undertakings. So this is a very lucky time to be planning events, gatherings, calling people on board. There's lake above. So there's a lot of water energy in this and earth below. So it talks to an image of a lake or a basin filling with water. Just as the fullness of the lake can bring good fortune to all in its realm, it can also overflow, leading to disaster.
Whoa.
Girl.
Speaking of Katrina.
Yeah, it indicates, this is the energy represented by a rally where each individual strength is magnified by the collective power of a community. Ooh, there's lots of historical significance in this.
Why is that literally what our conversation just was about?
It always is, though. Listen to this. Emily, listen to this. Much of human misfortune comes from unexpected events for which we are ill prepared. When gathered together with others, we are more powerful, even if in some ways we are also more vulnerable.
Wow. We got to go play the lottery.
Yeah, I think, it's like being more vulnerable with these large groups. When many people unite behind a single goal or a strong vision, it is wise to take personal precautions, protecting your reasonable self-interest, because these can easily be lost in a melee of a crowd. So you want it to be a gathering, productive, not like a riot. And also we're going to be looking at, consider how people are rallying around a person because their confidence in that person. And so consider when you see these groups gathering, who is the leader at the helm of this? Leaders have a raw power and influence, and it could become a reason for regret. So evaluating the leader of a situation and a cause is really important. Recognizing your role in this too, in this evaluation, and others are going to be looking to you for guidance and direction. So this is a pretty high level look at what you can expect for September. And perhaps you want to organize your own events if you don't like the vibe of the ones that you see gathering. If unity within a certain group is desirable, but you are an outsider, begin by aligning yourself with the leader of the group. We were just talking about this offline too. I think this pertains a lot to you because you're entering into a gathering. Consider the development of a relationship with the leader of a strategic necessity and take direct action to achieve it. This is really personal. Why are you so personal? So this is very strong interpersonal, be really bold. And if you feel a connection to a movement, go directly to the leader and speak up. And if it's something you really believe in, reinforce that. A group must recognize its need for clear direction and strong leadership. A suitable person who is a potential center of strength and purpose is already present. Ooh, okay. So this person's very gifted. They might have a bright light about them, as we've been talking about this fire energy. which is really interesting because September is just a very yin kind of feeling to me. It's not very yang or fiery.
Right.
But we've been talking a lot about fire. So there's just the undercurrents of that and the alchemy of fire. We're looking forward in the coming weeks to great abundance, which is thunder above and fire below. More fire. So we're going to leave it at this. It's talking about abundance comes into full flower when a group is unified and the power of its leadership is at its peak. So interesting, right? Bang on. During a period of abundance, it is skillful to show benevolence and to share the fruits of one's good fortune. Think of good deeds now as a hedge against scarcity in the future. This reading bodes well for the raising of children and the nurturing of a healthy family or any close-knit group. Boom. And then you have it. I didn't think that our conversations were going to be very relevant leading up to that, but that just puts a bow on it, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes we have to go through tough times. Yeah. So anyway, but that being said, I know we talked about some heavy things. So sending love to you for watching the documentary and all the stuff that people have been going through in this month and wondering, did it happen in September? What are the lyrics to that song? Did you come across it?
No, I didn't. I'm going to Google it later.
We'll have to drop
That'll
it
be
inside.
Everybody's homework assignment. And then maybe
we're going to drop it inside of the Conscious Collaboration Collective and ride out the rest of September here and keep lighting your candles and you're on fire.
Earth, wind, and fire.
Earth, wind. Dude. All right. Well, that was fun.
Super fun.
I need to take a break after that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you in 5.
Talk to you in 5. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank y'all so much for listening to our podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends so they can join our circle of collaboration on this journey. You can find us on Instagram at Conscious Collaboration Podcast, on Spotify, iTunes, and Audible, to name a few. Please join us next time for another deep dive into how you can live life in more alignment, mind, body, and business. Send us your questions and comments in our DMs or email us at consciouscollaborationpodcast@gmail.com. See you in 5 minutes.